for 7 of their next 8 games. Let's go to Steve Kerr, presented by BMW.
Yeah, our guys were tired, but that's all part of the NBA. Indiana's going to play 3 and 4 days. Everybody else is going to do the same thing. So it's just part of the season. I just thought they came in and outplayed us, outcoached us. It was almost a carbon copy of last year's game, with different personnel, obviously. But the same thing happened last year. They had 3 or 4 guys out, and they came in and took it to us. And, that first quarter, it was obvious right away just how fast and athletic and aggressive they were, and we were swimming upstream the entire night.
Anything you can point to that would indicate why this was a tough night from 3?
Why
it was a tough night 3-point shooting?
Well, I thought their defense was excellent. They had a good plan. They were trapping Steph out on the perimeter and JP. They were running those guys off the line. And, when the game's not going your way, you've got to be able to get stops and score in transition. And we never really contained them defensively. I mean, they were really, they controlled the whole game. Nembhard was fantastic, and he controlled the whole game for them. And we were never able to really string together a bunch of stops. And maybe for a little stretch there in the second half, we got, we had one stretch where we got some stops, but for the most part, we couldn't control them. And our defense wasn't able to lead us, to offensive transition.
How much do you think you missed Andrew's perimeter defense, and how big an issue right now do you feel like point of attack defense is for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we missed Andrew, but like I said, they were without 4 or 5 guys, so it's not an excuse. We've been pretty healthy all year. We've been, knock on wood. But that was a, major problem tonight was, not being able to stay in front of them. And Nembhard in particular was just getting anywhere he wanted in the lane. And you saw his patience. He threw some brilliant passes, lob passes, drop passes. And then, when we tried to cover up the paint, he was out there knocking down threes. So great player.
Hey, Coach, pregame, you talked a little bit about Klay's historic game 6 years ago and, what it kind of meant for you. And you like seeing games like that over the course of your coaching career. Tonight, wasn't necessarily a 60-point game, but you saw what it did for the crowd and for the bench when Klay gets going and gets that hot hand. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of what it does for the team and what it does for the team when he gets that hot hand?
Well, Klay, kept us afloat for a while tonight, made 8 threes, I think. And had it going a couple of times in the game to kind of keep us in it. And so he's obviously, a huge reason why we've been able to win championships, and the reason he's going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's an incredible player.
Steve, Kuminga seems to be earning some chunks of playing time recently, played quite a bit tonight. What is he doing that you like?
His defense has really been excellent. And, he's guarding some of the tougher players for the opposing team, whether it's a point guard or a wing. He's got great size, and he's smart. He's really starting to figure out how to defend without fouling and try to bother those ball handlers. And so he's earning minutes for sure.
Coach, speaking of Kuminga, you've been bringing him in the first quarter lately, but tonight with Wiggins out, you waited till around the 8-minute mark of the second quarter. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on why it took so long to bring him in.
Well, we wanted to get some shooting on the floor, so we went to Moses before we went to JK and Lamb as well. So it just, with Wiggins out, it just changed the rotations.
You last season, that 3-guard lineup, Poole, Curry, and Klay together was really good. I mean, all the metrics. This season, it's kind of been middling a little bit. Obviously, you started it tonight. Why do you think those 3 together haven't maybe been as potent as they were last season?
I don't know. I mean, I think Obviously it took Klay a little while to get going this season, and JP's been, up and down a little bit. And so, I think Jordan has really picked up his play here of late. So I don't think it's a trend. I think it's more just, we haven't had all three guys clicking at the same time, but I think that's just a matter of time.
Coach, we talked about Klay pregame, and with him leading the team with points, do you see him playing back-to-back games and getting more minutes off the bench?
At some point, you're talking about Klay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
At some point, Klay will probably play a back-to-back, but at this point, we don't know exactly when.
Steve, without looking at the video, obviously, that you will, when you look at this game, what is the part of this game that was most disappointing, I guess, or irritating to you?
I think our offensive execution. I mean, it was, the game was scattered and they were getting to the rim quite a bit, and our defense wasn't great, but we didn't attack in a great way, and we didn't adapt and adjust, to the way they were guarding us, and that's on me. I've got to do a better job of helping the guys recognize what the defense is doing and how we can counterattack that. We just felt like we never found that offensive groove that we needed.
Is that specifically related to Steph? He finished 3 of 17. Obviously had a cold night, but are you mostly talking about how they defended him?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job on Steph, trapping him. They've got some long, athletic bigs. So they switched and trapped quite a bit on the perimeter and just tried to keep him off the 3-point line as much as they could. And we just we didn't attack that well enough.
I was the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr's Warriors get ready to travel to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Jazz. We're going to break down Jonathan Kuminga's night. He got the Warriors a spark in that second quarter. More coming up on Warriors Post Game Live. AT&T Fiber Fast Recap. Get hyper-fast internet with AT&T Fiber as the Warriors. They lose their home game. They lose a home game for the first time in 11 tries. 10-game home streak snapped. They're now 11-2 at Chase Center as Klay Thompson led the way with 28 points, 9 of 23 from the floor, 8 made threes. Jordan Poole with 23, but the story of the game was Stephen Curry as he struggled going 3 of 17 from the floor and just 2 of 10 from the 3-point line tonight. And give the Pacers credit again. Ball pressure, defensive tenacity. Long, athletic teams have given the Warriors fits all season long as we welcome everybody back to Warriors Postgame Live presented by Toyota. That is a Hall of Famer, Chris Mullin. That is Festus Ezeli. Let's break down Stephen Curry's game because he started off slow, and you heard from Garrett Burke in the opening segment. He didn't hit his first 3 until the third quarter. In the first half, he was 1 of 7 from the floor, 0 for 4 from the 3-point line, and just 4 points. That's a nice drive there against Nembhard, but look, they had long defenders against Steph Curry all night long.
And you see the strategy is to force Steph left, make him shoot contested twos. Now he got 10 threes off, but each and every time, watch these defenders get way up, contest without fouling. And this is a Rick Carlisle well-coached team, both offensively and defensively. But to me, it was really impressive. Most of these guys are role players. They're not used to playing primetime minutes against a star player like Steph Curry, and they executed defensively as well as you could be expected.
I think for this team, for the Warriors, I think you have to establish yourself offensively in the first half. When you come into the game, moving the ball and get easy shots. We know that Steph Curry can shoot step backs, he can do everything. Those shots were tough shots, and credit Indiana. They have a lot of tall, athletic guys, and they did a great job of helping each other. A guy would stand there and wall against the shot, and another guy would come across the top and block it. They had 8 block shots tonight. So for a young athletic team like that, Mully said this perfectly. Rick Carlisle has a lot of the credit for that because that team played with a lot of passion tonight.
You think about the Warriors when they're at their best, right? They're getting over 30 assists. The ball's moving. There's nice screening. So they got outplayed tonight, which is not a big deal. But on nights like tonight, if it's in the playoffs, you're going to need a bucket sometimes to maybe throw it down to a Jonathan Kuminga. Give him an ISO. That's why I mentioned James Wiseman. Just have some size. They've been playing such great basketball. Like I said, it's not time to panic. But when things do, when you're not knocking down your 3-point shots and the ball's not moving like it usually does, sometimes that's a nice time to just go to like a little ISO for a Kuminga, a little post up for somebody. That options really not there now for the Warriors.
They fell in love with the three-point line in 4 of the last 5 games, hitting at least 23 is the second team in NBA history to do so. However, when you look at points in the paint against the Rockets Saturday night, Willie Festus, the Rockets dominated with points in the paint, and the Pacers followed that up. Tonight, the Rockets outscored the Warriors with points in the paint 72-34. As we take a look at the December schedule, and going to Salt Lake City in Utah is never an easy place to play. Utah off to a good start. Of course, the Boston Celtics in Saturday. Probably the best team in the NBA right now. That's the finals rematch. Then they go on the road for 6 at Milwaukee. And back-to-back at Milwaukee and Indiana. And then Friday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. That's never an easy place to play. And you look at the rest of the road trip. In Canada, you got to go to Toronto for an early start on a Sunday. Then the back-to-back against the Knicks and the Nets. Of course, the Knicks play at Madison Square Garden at Barclays Center. Then you come back home after 3 nights against the Memphis Grizzlies. So December is a daunting month. We're gonna find out a lot about the Golden State Warriors here moving forward as they're 13-12 after dropping this game to Indiana.
Here's one thing I will take away from this game is there's a lot of things that the Warriors can show up. We can talk about moving the ball. We can talk about taking good shots, especially to start the game. But the Warriors team always does better after a day off. And I feel like after a day off watching film, this team is going to go back to the basics. And on Wednesday, it's going to be a battle, for sure, in Utah.
And we talked pregame about the Warriors, points off turnovers. They did a fine job there. It was 17-14, I think. Not a big problem. Free throws were about even. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, Bonte, 2 games in a row now, and kind of a constant theme, points in the paint, blow-bys. So the last game against the Rockets was 72-34 Rockets. But the Rockets shot 18% from 3.
Right. Tonight,
that's why I was talking about the balance. The Pacers made 15 threes, but they also won the points in the paint. But everything else even. It's a one-off because Steph has a horrible shooting night. That's not going to happen again probably this season. But that's kind of the formula: the points off turnovers, the free throws, and then the balance of 3-point shooting and points in the paint.
All right, we're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up here as the Warriors drop a game at Chase Center here during the holiday.